set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank.
What's up, Reefers, and welcome back to another episode of Zoa Tank Boyz. And in this episode, we're gonna do a reef update on the Red Sea 130. Got some dire news. Let's go. All right, so as you guys know, I have the Red Sea 130, and it's been a great little tank for me. When it's flourishing, it is flourishing. But I gotta tell you, whenever there are situations, sometimes they get dire. So the Red Sea 130 is a 34 gallon for those of you who do not know. And because it's a smaller tank, there's a lot less room for error. And I feel like I'm in that small room for error. Lately, I've been dabbling with cyano and bubble algae, and it was taking over my tank. So I've managed to bring it down a little, and I got 2 emerald crabs, and I had them eat most of the bubble algae off the rock work. But I noticed this morning that one of the crabs was eating one of my mushrooms. And I had just recently bought this mushroom from Worldwide Coral, and now one of the mushrooms are gone. Like, it's been teared to shreds, it's floating all over the ground. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to pack this mushroom up because I still have some bubble algae. I'm gonna pack this mushroom up and bring it over to Manny's. They didn't really touch any of my other coral except for that bounce mushroom. And luckily on the rock, it came with 2 bounce mushrooms. So the one with the bigger bubbles actually survived and it's still intact. It hasn't been touched. But I think just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna take it to Manny's house until the emerald crabs do their job. And then I may take these emerald crabs out, maybe give them to David or one of my other reefer friends, see if they need something to eat up the bubble algae in their tanks. So I'm gonna show you a little bit about the tank. I gotta tell you, the tank's not doing as great as it normally is because I still have cyano on the sand. But without further ado, let's check out the tank. All right, so it's gonna be a little tough to take this off without another person, but we're good. Put that down. All right, so let's shut off some of this flow. So as you guys can see, there's a cyano on the sand bed. It was like kicked up on there before, but it's starting to go away little by little. And then if you guys can tell, that's the bounce mushroom I was telling you about. On the other side behind it, there was another bounce mushroom around the same size. And this morning I noticed that it was ripped to shreds while one of the while one of the emerald crabs was actually eating it, ripping it apart. So I tried to push the emerald crab out of the way, and it just ducked into cover when it went under the rocks. And as you can see, I mean, there's probably little small fragments of the mushroom there, but it's pretty much blown over everywhere. But this one here, I'm gonna try to save. It's got a few bubbles on there. If you guys seen on our Instagram, I actually posted a reel on it. It was really, really nice. But I'm gonna take that out. I'm gonna bring it over to Manny's so we can put it probably in his 65 gallon just to keep it there for safekeeping, because while these crabs are in here, I don't think anything's safe. All right, so as we get to the center of the rock, you guys can see these captain jerks. One thing I would say is get the captain jerks with caution. They are super fast growers and they overtake your rock work. If you've seen any of the updates of the Red Sea, they start off as a small little frag, and you can see it's taken over the whole entire rock. Gotta figure out a way to kind of take them off without destructing that rock there. We have some yellow submarines, some fairy dust. We have the big lobo here, she's ready to eat. I have a leather. I have a bunch of miscellaneous zoas up top, scrambled eggs, halle berries, Fruit Loops, fire and ice. Those right there are utter chaos, and they never do good in my tank for some reason. They always end up shriveling up like the way they're doing. They get very, very, very bright, and then they die. So that's probably like my 4th pair of utter chaos. Here's a closer look at the mushroom. And I have a few rock flowers that are kind of sprinkled around throughout the tank. I have these 2 here, and if we look up here, I have a very bright orange one there. Got a few hammers. And these here, so these right here I got from the huge Ophelia garden in Manny's tank. He ended up splitting them up, and I got maybe 1 or 2 heads, and I think there's about 4 or 5. This one here I got from Reefapalooza, and this one here I got from like Reefapalooza a year ago. And I started off with 1 head. I think there's like 3 or 4 heads on there too. You can't go wrong with the fighting. Wait, is that? Wow. I don't know if you guys can tell, but that shell is hollow. Was not expecting that. So I think I'm gonna have to replace him. So unfortunately my fighting conch died. Usually he likes to sit in the sand bed for hours at a time, and I guess this time around he died. Wow. Okay, well, that's a surprise. So I'm gonna have to go to the LFS and also get a fighting conch. I might actually include that in the video here. We'll see. We have my A-can up there. He gets a lot more fluffier than that. We have a hammer back there, like I said. We have 3-headed hammer there. And here's what I'm talking about when I say bubble algae, guys. So right here on the frag rack, I mean, we got some halle berries, we have some bloodshots, scrambled eggs. But you can see the bubble algae, it suffocates everything. It starts to grow and accumulate, and next thing you know, it starts killing off coral. Those are my Pikachu zoas. Oh man, I got some Aptasia, I see. But yeah, guys, it's been a problem that I've been dealing with for quite some time now. Between the bubble algae, between the cyano, and now I'm starting to notice that there are tons of Astorina starfish here. Tons through the rock work. Like I even have some here, the overflow. I mean, there are tons. Now, one thing I do notice is that whenever the lights start to shut off, if I come in this room and I turn on the room light, I notice these little waving hands. I don't know if you can tell, but there's one right there. Those little hands in the corner. So I got hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of brittle starfish going in and out of these rocks. And I want to say that's from, obviously, you know, hitchhikers and whatnot. But I have so many, it's just crazy. Let's see if we can spot some. I don't know if you guys can tell, right there, let's see, right there on the halle berries, there's some tentacles waving. You see them? Dude, when I say I have hundreds, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. I've had this tank for about 2 years now. For the most part, a lot of things do grow perfectly fine in this tank, but like I said earlier, when you have a smaller tank, there's a lot less room for errors. So sometimes if something spikes up, it can make a dramatic change compared to having a larger tank. My phosphates were really high at one point, and I feel like that's what started the changes here. I've since then lowered it down, and everything seems to be doing fine in my parameters. I just have to find a way to get rid of all these things. Well, that's part of the hobby, right? That's part of the learning curve, is making the mistakes and trying to solve them. It's like a big puzzle. This leather, it's actually pretty big. It's starting to open up now, but I got it when it was the size of a quarter. And as you can see, he's getting pretty big. I mean, he's probably almost the size of the palm of my hand when he's open. Yeah, recently my yellow ras passed, so I definitely am in due time for a new fish. Right now I only have I have 3 fish in here. I have this damsel, which is vicious. It's like a pit bull of the tank. And I have my clown. I've had her for, I want to say, almost 5 years. And then I have a bunny in there somewhere. He's hiding. So if you guys look here, these pulsing zinnias, I actually got rid of hundreds of them. On our Instagram, you can actually see them. They're in a small little wooden bowl. But out of nowhere, these little groups just started forming. There was none of them in my tank that I could see visually, but out of nowhere they started sprouting. So now I have 4 little spots with pulsing zinnias. Eventually I'll have to get rid of, because they can overtake your tank and suffocate your coral, and you just don't want that. I mean, they're beautiful to look at, and they're pretty cool how they open and close, try to get the nutrients, but unless you have them on a separate rock, I wouldn't recommend them being put on like this, where they're next to the, oh, look at that little guy right there. He's probably the one that started eating the mushroom. But yeah, I definitely want to get some more zoas, but before I get any zoas, I want to see if I can bring that Captain Jerk down, or if possibly just take it off the rock entirely, maybe try to get a separate rock for it, so it doesn't grow into the rock work and suffocate all the other corals like it's doing now. I had tons of different vibrant colors on there, and it just overgrew everything. The Red Sea 130 is not doing the best, but I mean, there are some coral that are thriving in it, and there is some growth on there. I'm just trying to get it back to its former glory. Alright guys, so we just made it to the local LFS near my house called Krabby Patty's, and while looking for the fighting conch, I saw this massive Formosa wrasse. Check it out. He's crazy. Beautiful. Dude, he is big. Found the fighting conches. Now it's time to pick one up. Can't have a tank without a fighting conch. There we go. Alright guys, so I put the fighting conch inside of the tank that I just got from the LFS. There he goes right there. And I think he'll do a good job on the sand bed, since my tank is not too large. He's a little smaller, but he'll get the job done. And then I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's a small piece of the mushroom that was eaten by the emerald crabs right there. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go head over to Manny's and get this bad boy in one of his tanks. Let's go. Alright, so I just made it to Manny's house. Got the shroom here. Let's go put it in his tank. I think he's gonna want to put it into his 65 gallon, just because there's pretty much no room inside the 350. Alright, so let's take off the lid here. Take this shroom out. Check that out. And now these guys, Gomas and Martisha, they do bite. I'm surprised they haven't bit me yet. Ah, yeah, there we go. They're biting me. There we go. Just gonna tuck them up here until Manny sees it and he can move it where he wants. Oh man, just pulled my hair. I think it'll be better, nice and safe here in his tank versus the emerald crabs in mine. Well, check it out. Guys, check it out. There was a video last week of the update on the JBJ. He had some issues going on his tank, so if you haven't seen it, check it out. Alright guys, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of Zoa Boys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can see when we post. And we can't leave this video without shouting one of you guys out. So the comment's gonna be right here. And until next time, Zoa Boys out!